Welcome to church for the rest of us. As always, broadcasting from high atop our studios at Family Church downtown, right. West Palm Beach, overlooking the Intercoastal Waterway in South Florida. I wish all of you were here. We are a hot spot for the coronavirus. If you don't believe it, look in the news. And it's all because of all the people from New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut come down here and infect everybody. I don't know if we should even have this on the thing. Anyways, joining us today as we try to lead through the corona crisis, always my co-host Leslie Bennett, also our engineer Carly Seelman, and we have two great pastors with us, Pastor Seth Carter, Pastor Winter Ullman, and these two men are two of the most talented individuals you're ever going to meet. Winter has been how long have you been on our team, Winter?
This is my 8th year.
8th year, and you've been married for 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
And you've been one of the pastors at our village campus for 2 years.
For
is
2
that
years,
right?
That's right.
And so Winter is
multi-talented.
Because
he abandoned Sherbrooke.
Yeah, Leslie's still...
We have a history.
Leslie's still a little bitter because he used to lead worship at her campus, but then when we launched the village campus, he moved there. Super talented guy. Winter, you can preach. You're a great preacher. You have multiple master's degrees. You're highly educated. You have a beautiful wife. You have a dog. Like you have a lot going for you, and we're so glad that you're on our team and one of my pastors. You're one of my pastors. And Seth, same for you. Seth grew up in the home of a pastor. His dad's pastor of a great church, First Baptist Church of Windermere, Florida, soon to be renamed.
Yeah, Family Church.
They're changing Family Church. Can you believe that?
Family Church.
Yeah, so we have the multi-site church there. Great church. Pastor Chuck's amazing. And Seth, you grew up there. You served in the Harvest Network for a while, Harvest Chapel. And now you're with us. Mm-hmm. And so you've been with us for, how long have you been with us?
Almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years this summer.
Yeah, and you and Stephanie have been married for?
10 years in December.
And your kids?
My kids are, my oldest is Jude, he's 6 years old. And then our youngest is Miles, he's 4 years old. And then we have one baby due in a month. Yeah. Right in the middle of all this. It's going to be great.
Corona baby.
Yes. We're thinking about that name. That name sounds
Rona.
right.
Rona will never go wrong.
Corona Carter.
Corona Carter.
I love it. So this is awesome, Seth. You are a worship leader. You've been in worship leadership for most of your kind of ministry life, but now you've shifted away from that. You've joined our network team, and you're a creative director for all of our campuses, which means what?
Really, it's about helping to unite, the unique way we do church here in South Florida at Family Church of having neighborhood churches in all of our neighborhoods, trying to bring the family feel to each one of those campuses and being able to have a similar feel, but also a distinctness at each environment.
Right.
So figuring out what is distinct and what is the same, and then how we can do all of that better really in a church for the rest of us kind of way, because we really are equipping smaller sized congregations to do greater and better things. So.
Yeah, and you do that so well, and we're all learning. And right in the middle of a bunch of transitions, we have this coronavirus, Leslie, and so what are we doing?
Yeah, so that just happened where we decided we had a task force for a year that was meeting to help us look at our worship environments and our worship experiences. And then Seth just took the role as the creative arts pastor to help lead that. And then we were just getting started with that, and along came the coronavirus. So it's quickly shifted everything. We really had to just accelerate. And I think it's a unique opportunity that we do have to pull our teams in and all of our talent in and to figure out what it looks like to have what we're going for, which is family dinner, kind of Irish pub experience is how we've described it. So we want it to feel like family. We want it to be fun, but we want it to be distinct across all of our campuses. And now we get the opportunity for all of you to work on that together, because you all are both you both and our whole team, you're so talented. You bring so much to the table. And I always joke that, I don't know where I got in the back of the line, apparently, when they were handing out all the creative talents, because you can sing.
Come on.
You can sing. You can make videos. You can do graphics. You can preach. You're theologically sound. Like, you're just amazing people. And we have many people like that on our team. So for you all to pull together and do this, I think is a beautiful thing to watch. But it's a lot. So we've really had to shift from being face-to-face to being really one content creating team, putting out multiple kinds of content each week. So let's just talk through that journey a little bit. Like, how did that all come together? I think, Seth, if you want to start.
Yeah, it was a everything all at once. You wake up one morning and it's happening before your mind can even adjust to it. But that first week when we really made the full shift, it was about shifting our entire staff to mobilize in new and different ways, really taking guys who, just a couple of days ago were doing something completely different, and then helping them reframe and, adjust into, we need to be all hands on deck to be making church happen in a completely different way, video focused, but also pushing out just Sunday morning content, right? Because we need to minister to our people throughout the week when we physically distance ourselves. And so our people need touch points throughout the week, and trying to create those things, but also framing what we can do, and finding the right mediums and messages. And so a lot of planning happened that first week, and it was probably for the folks listening, it was crazy for everybody. It's trying to figure out and navigate that first week. But for us, we shifted our entire staff to just a content creation machine. And we started to plan out just major touch points that we wanted to have. So we identified, we want a video here. We wanted to have a daily check-in from our lead pastor. We wanted to get some form of daily devotionals to our congregation from our campus leaders, and how to mobilize each of those things, but also with the amount of people that can shoot videos, who has a history of doing that.
That's right.
We have a lot of guys on staff who maybe at one point in time they made videos in the past, and so we called in the reserves, and
that's a good analogy.
And it just the attitude on our team has been so phenomenal in that too, of just guys taking up things that they haven't had to think about for some of them, for almost a decade, and just picking right back up with a day's notice has been awesome to see.
Yeah, and so Winter, you two, you've been focused on, you've overseen worship teams, you've done a lot of teaching and preaching, and you've really been a big part of our leadership at our village campus. Mm-hmm. And why don't you talk a little bit about having to make that shift, because you've been so focused on growing that campus, connecting with those people, creating the weekend experiences and our worship services at the village campus. And now you kind of have to stay connected with the people while walking away from that type of gathering. And I'd love for you to just talk about the shift that you've had to make in this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So at our church, our motto is we want to have neighborhood church in the neighborhood building, neighborhood pastor speaking the neighborhood language. Yeah. And that's still what we want to do. But we've been hit with a crisis. And so we've had to kind of shift, some of our energies. And myself, I actually was at one point the video director here at a time at Family Church. And so bringing those skills back,
part of you.
So I was part of those reserves where we said, you know what, we need him to kind of move into the video role again. And that was kind of a bit of a challenge for me, because my energy, my passion, my determination, everything was getting pushed into the village campus, and so having to switch there, just kind of switching energy, switching mindset was kind of difficult at first. But now, I'm learning, hey, this is what we're doing. This is for the advancement of our church, and so we need our energy to just be going in that direction. And so that's mentally where I am. And I think a lot of people in this season are kind of feeling that at different churches, where we're having to kind of shift where some of our energies and our passions have been. But it's good. It's a good thing. We need to have that kind of mentality, have that right attitude, so that we can serve our people at large.
Yeah, and I think that's so vital. I appreciate your spirit and attitude in that, because, all of us have had to do that, because we have 16 different people on our regular teaching team that are preaching in multiple languages. I have 20 or 30 services every weekend, live teaching in all of them, and all of a sudden we've gone to basically one video teacher, which is the opposite of our general strategy, because we want multiple teachers. But now we're a video venue church basically at this point, except our venues are in people's homes.
Right.
And so helping everybody shift has been a big kind of part of our process. And it's not easy for everyone, Leslie.
Right. No, it's a challenge, I think, as we all navigate everything happening at work and happening at home and figuring out how to adjust everything. And then it's always changing, right? So even this week, we made some decisions because we were working to put some things out, but really we realized our teams are a little too big. So we had to make a shift. What did we decide to do?
Yeah, we decided, really to downsize our team while multiplying how many teams we have, right? So we kept the same group of folks working on the things, but we actually split it in half. And so we went with a team A and a team B, or as our team likes to joke, a team 1 and a team A.
That's right. I like that.
A little competitiveness between the two. And
We on team B.
exactly.
I'm not on team 2. I'm on team 1.
That's right. But a lot of that is it's rethinking. Even as this crisis changes week to week, is just continuing to adapt and continuing to follow guidelines that are passed down by the governing bodies. And so we shrunk our teams down. We're trying to use fewer people on camera, observe social distancing, and to display that as best as we can, while also still gathering together virtually and having church, and preserving that aspect of delivering those things. So that's how we've kind of strategized that and splitting out. It's involved really splitting up what guys can do what, and making sure each team can be very self-dependent within their own kind of ecosystem and stuff. But that's one of the benefits of having so many multi-talented guys who can play multiple positions. That really helps to build a team, because a guy can immediately switch from being a video editor to to making being in front of the camera and being a MC for something or something like that. And a lot of times it's helping guys rephrase that, and also calling up guys to new roles and saying, hey, you've never done this before, but hey, here's 3 YouTube tutorials on how to do that. Equip yourself
tomorrow.
And really, we've seen a lot of major wins through that, of guys never considering that they would do something before, learning how to do it, and then just knocking it out of the park a couple days
That's
later.
been really awesome in this season, just seeing people get out of their comfort zones, learn something new. And so I think this is a great time where our times have shifted and things like that, to learn something new. And I think a lot of people on our team and a lot of churches, as I've been seeing online, are learning new things, adapting new things, and it's to their benefit and to the benefit of the church.
So have we had to spend a lot of money to make this happen so far?
We really haven't. So I think that's the temptation. As a creative, you kind of want to walk in and you want to go, okay, we're doing, let's do a TV show. Let's bust this thing out. And one of the things when we walked into this, knowing, is being financially prudent and not reinventing the wheel or anything like that, but looking at what we already had and repurposing equipment, and knowing that we have in our pockets with our smartphones, we have video cameras that outshine things that were created just 5 years ago, at the highest level, and really trying to strategize how we could do this without spending any money, any extra money. In fact, we were joking right before we recorded, I put in my first purchase request for $25
In the last month.
Right. Which
Just
is,
so everybody knows, we have shut down spending.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have no discretionary spending. There's no hospitality. There's no money. So our mandate to everyone is we're trying to keep our people employed as long and as fully as possible. In order to do that, we've eliminated virtually all spending. So we want to take the people we have, the resources we have, the tools we have, and let's do the best we can with what we have.
That's right.
And the reason that's vital for church, for the rest of us listeners, that's what everybody's got to do, right? Because everybody should be pulling in your spending in order to try to outlast this crisis. And Winter, you're really good at generating kind of this content, like the stuff that you do. You're like a savant. So you've got you can photograph things and film things and put on social media and motion graphics. And then you get on and sing and you write a song and then you preach a sermon. So what kind of things are you doing actually that maybe some of our listeners could learn to do? Yeah.
So I think, again, this might be a time to try and get creative. You have your phone. That's one of the greatest tools that we can use.
So everybody has a phone virtually, right?
Yeah. So that's a great tool. And really right now we're just discovering. And so, for instance, my phone is like to max capacity with its storage. And so I called one of my friends on staff and I said, hey, bro, can you download this program? I think it's free. It's called Premiere Rush. And see if you can put a video together. And he downloaded it, and he's never done videos really before, and he made this gorgeous video, And so we're just trying to find ways that we can be effective, but also frugal. And so that's something that you can do. You can take photos with your camera. Use filters to make them. You can make them look sharp. You don't necessarily have to have the pro equipment, but also too, this might be a time to ask someone in your congregation, do you have a camera? Things like that, and empower them to do some of those things as well. So those are some things that we're doing. Also, really, I think we really want to people mainly want to see their leaders. They don't really care if it's fully, if it's highly produced and things like that. And so, if you can just get in front of a camera and do something encouraging, light is one of your best friends. And so as much as you can, whether you're using floodlights or whatever type of lighting you can use, daylight, go outside,
yeah. Face the sun.
Yeah, face the sun, do all those things and you can make really good content without having to spend any money.
Yeah. So Leslie, we have a whole team of people trying to figure this out. What would you say to our listeners about what kind of things can they, because this is what I hate. You guys know this. I don't like people to tell me what they can't do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. I want people to tell me what can we do with what we have. Yeah. And if I'm, even as the boss, if I'm asking for something that's actually not possible, which I do from time to time, then help me understand a creative alternative that would fulfill the mission. And so, Leslie, what kind of things are we discovering that we can do?
Well, we can do a lot because anything that you capture, if we can kind of learn to share it, so we're trying to learn how to share, put things in one folder. So any kind of video that we have, any photos that we take, we can always repurpose for other things. And so we can take them, put them on social media, put them on the website. So we're trying to get better at that, which I think is always a challenge when we have multiple people working on things and you need more cross-functionality. So I would just say work on your cross-functional relationships and make sure that you're resourcing each other in the creative areas, especially. So we don't need everybody reinventing the wheel every time something needs to happen. You can take one photo, one video, and make many things out of it. And we've been doing that, for instance, with our sermon videos. We've been taking, a lot of people do this, but taking snippets of the sermon and putting some, motion graphics and some words on there and putting them out as a social media piece. We've been taking, when we do a video shoot, like we've been doing our Treehouse Takeover. And so when they're doing Treehouse Takeover, they'll just take a puppet aside and they'll do a little short promo video with their phone and put it out there to let people know, hey, Treehouse Takeover is coming. So I think we're just trying to be really resourceful and smart with the things that we're doing.
Yeah, and one of the things I would just say to all of our listeners, look, social media is free.
Right.
Okay, so there's social media is free. Yeah. You can put content out there. Now you have to find ways to develop followers and all, but you can't. Even a one-man show, even a volunteer pastor can use social media to your advantage. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Number two, if you have a phone that has been made in the last 4 years, all right, your phone has a good camera and video capability. And in this environment, when we have to do everything on social media and online, you can't do it without taking pictures and video. So you've got to find some vehicle. Even if it's not as good as someone else you see, it doesn't matter. Do the best you can with what you have. You have to take pictures. You have to use video. And I don't know why you wouldn't use social media because it's free. It's instantly uploadable. It's actually a lot easier than uploading stuff to a website. You can put stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, like instantly. And Seth, don't you think everyone should be figuring out ways to use that?
Absolutely. You might be unfamiliar with some of those new platforms. It seems like there's a new one that crops up, and figuring out how to use it, you can get old man syndrome really quickly. I don't even know how to navigate or make a profile or things like that. But there's people in your congregations that might know, reaching out, making relationships with people, like even paying attention to this person posts a lot, and their content is really good. Even just a phone call for 15 minutes on what are the best ways I could post from the church platform can even help. But also it's just finding new inroads to create content and finding the right pieces of content that go on each social site. You know, certain sites are stronger, you know, and have different demographics, right? So when you think of like a TikTok, I might not post like a 30-minute sermon on TikTok because number one, it's, you know, the demographic trends younger, right? And so one of the things at Family Church, our student team they're
crushing it on TikTok,
all in on TikTok, and it's primarily, you know, humor based, and it's these short kind of fun videos, and they're posting small little snippet devotionals and things like that, and it's lightning round style, but it's perfect for that platform. On Facebook, you know, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, it trends a lot older. And there's a lot more content on there where we can post. We live stream our services on that that platform. We have morning devotionals that air, and we're giving a lot slightly longer content, and that's actually skewed towards a wider, you know, age gap. So that's kind of the strategic focus on how we kind of like look into how we're going to employ our social strategy. But that's really doable at any level just by a couple conversations with folks. There's also a ton of like 3 Google searches will get you like the world's opinions on how you should be using these, because also businesses are trying to figure this out in real time and things like that. And so just doing a quick Google search and a quick, you know, online research pass will do a lot of good.
And I think, Carly, I mean, you can put in our show notes, because we put a few resources out for our team in terms of like how to shoot a video and some social media practices.
Those are great,
I mean, there's everything is out there. My email is my inbox is flooded with all kinds of things coming into me, but we can put them in our show notes for our listeners. They might find those helpful resources.
I think so. And Carly, you boss around our whole team, because like you see stuff happen, you're like, you make it profile. What are you doing? You know, and so just maybe some quick thoughts that people we can remember. We'll put them in our show notes, but what are some just quick thoughts everybody should know before you start to shoot a video of yourself?
I would say have it be horizontal, so landscape. If you have a tripod or selfie stick, just so it doesn't shake or move around, go outside, like you were saying, Leonard. That's a great suggestion to take advantage of the daylight. So just little tips like that, it always helps. You can upload straight to
my favorite
your
is
social
just
media channels.
hold it high.
Yes.
Is that not
Hold
a good
it high.
tip?
Avoid the neck rolls.
Not
Neck rolls and
angles.
boogers. No one wants to see neck rolls or boogers. also, not in front of a blank wall.
Yes.
No blank
Avoid
wall.
hostage
That's one of the reasons I
situations.
like outside.
Yes.
There's stuff.
There's
right?
stuff behind you.
Yeah, way better.
One tip I wanted to share too, as far as file sharing, it doesn't have to be fancy, or you don't have to pay for it. You can use a Google Drive, which is free, or you can use create a shared album on the iPhone and just transfer files that way, and that's super convenient and it's super quick. So just a tip.
Yeah, what would you say, if there's one thing you would say to our listeners that are pastors, they're leaders of organizations, some of them are small organizations, what is one thing you'd say, here, make sure that you guys are doing this?
Yeah, so, I would say this is not about competition. I know sometimes we've gotten into this competitive spirit. It's not as good as your church doesn't care. It's about connecting.
Good.
It's not a competition, it's connecting. And so try to connect as much as you can on social media, on Facebook, on all those, but also by picking up the phone and just calling people. You know, that's also a way.
Old school,
and it works. It's effective.
It does.
We've been doing calls here, and people are just appreciative when you give them a call. And so don't try to get into this competition because your color grade and all these things, your frame rate's not as nice as, you know, such and such church. It's not about that. People just want to see you. They want to connect with you.
See, I do not get
Don't
into
even know what he
competition
just
on
said.
frame rate,
Yeah.
whatever else you just said. I'm on board. How about you, Seth?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just continuing to follow up on that, you know, is also just, you know, matching the tone of this season, you know, and ministering to your people through this time. You know, we don't want to paint a smile on and pretend like everything is exactly the same as a month ago, right? We want to be ministering to people through these new platforms, providing new ways to pray for them, providing new ways to reach out to them across social media, calling them, but also being an innovator. That's one of our leadership principles here at Family Church. We try to be innovative every single week, and that means holding everything with an open hand and going, I'm willing to do things differently than I did last week, even if it kind of complicates the way forward. I'm going to learn new things. I'm going to try it differently, because we have to push forward into this new season.
That's good.
Yeah, Leslie, why don't you
That's
bring
really
us home? You oversee all of this stuff. What are your thoughts for our listeners?
Well, it's hard to top what they just said, so I just would agree that it is a new season and that we want to continue every week to think about how we can do the things that we are doing a little bit better or change and pivot and do something else. And so I think holding it loosely is really good advice, and to keep moving forward is another really good piece of advice, and that's what we're going to do as we look at this really probably for the next season.
Yeah.
We're thinking it's going to be a good bit longer than people were initially thinking, so we have to also pace ourselves. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and that's really hard for some of us to remember because we're kind of having to sprint right now because so much has to change and so much has to happen. But we do need to pace ourselves and remember that God is going to get us through it, and that He is ultimately the one directing us and telling us, like you said this morning, what to do today, what to say today, and He's the one who's planned it all out in advance for us.
Amen. That's exactly right. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope it's an encouragement to all of you, because we want you to understand it's not about how much money you have, how much staff you have. It's not about how much equipment you have. It really is about taking the resources you have at your church right now and doing the very best you can for Jesus.
That's right.
And this is all for Him. It all belongs to Him. If there's any way that we can help you, you contact us. We'll share anything we have with you. We'll do anything we can to be a blessing to you, to encourage you. And for now, this is Jimmy Scroggins and our team signing off. This has been Church for the Rest of Us.